Hey, this is Eli Campbell. You know, Steamboat is renowned worldwide for skiing, biking, and all that our natural playground has to offer. We're fortunate, though, that the natural beauty here attracts more than just outdoor enthusiasts. From local legends to world-class acts, amazing musicians regularly play the venues in our little corner of Northwest Colorado. Join me as I explore the stories and experiences of these talented artists who bring unforgettable performances to Steamboat. This is your Steamboat Sound Check. Welcome to the Steamboat Sound Check podcast. Eli Campbell hanging out with you here. Of course, our podcast presented by McCrite Progressive Dentistry, and we're continuing our series of highlighting musicians that are going to be hitting up Schmiggity's this winter. Quick reminder that anytime you're at Schmiggity's, you can open up the Steamboat Locals app. Click on the link, you can get a free well drink. Right now, we are joined by Evan and Packy of Jymkata. How are you guys doing today?
Good, man. A little cold here in New York.
Yeah, freezing.
Yeah, well, I think maybe, I don't even know if we've gotten out of the double digits or into the double digits here in Steamboat.
Oh,
So
dang.
I can feel that for you as
Yeah.
well. Now, you're going to be traveling from New York to Steamboat this weekend to play at Schmiggity's. Wanted to get a little bit more information about you guys, and where I want to start is somewhere, to be honest, I never ask bands about their names. I always feel like that's kind of like a pretty lazy interview tactic. How did the band get its name? And here I am. I'm going to go ahead and ask you guys about the name Jymkata. You guys have named yourself after a mid-'80s like cult kung fu movie that is notoriously bad. So much so that might even be the appeal of it. So I have to ask, like, how did you even come across this movie, and why has it resonated with you?
Man, I've answered this question so many times. But I also don't really know why. The story is that I met Packy when we were like in middle school or whatever, and somewhere around, I don't know, our senior year of high school or something, we started actually kind of jamming, and with Aaron actually was like in the band as well, and um started messing around with recording for the first time, and the kid whose house we were at recording and who was in our band for a bit, we would like finish up with whatever we were doing and maybe get a little stoned or something, and he was like, "You have to watch this movie, dude. You have to see this movie. It's so ridiculous." Like, and he had an older brother, and that's the other thing. We've tangent on this. It's very highly specific generation that knows this movie too, which is hilarious. So it was his older brother who had the movie, and it was on VHS, and we put this thing on, and I mean, it was the funniest thing. Like, it's so bad that it's good, kind of is the vibe. And we had a gig, our first ever gig coming up somewhere at a local park, and needed a name, and we went around and around and around, but just kept coming back to Jymkata, and that it just stuck, and that's kind of it changed. We were actually named Gymkata for a while, but then I don't know. We thought for some reason that would be a copyright problem. Turns out that doesn't matter at all.
Oddly.
But yeah, I don't know.
Well, at
So
least for
now
Google searches now, when you spell it the right way, something good comes up instead of something notoriously known for not being good.
Yeah, that was a caveat that we discovered after the fact. That was actually like a strength. It was like, oh, we're the only thing that comes up if you Google it, spelled this way. So
Yeah, for sure. Now, I don't know if I'm going for a leap, taking a stretch here, but the movie itself, it's about a gymnast who uses karate and gymnastics to kind of go through some various challenges, fighting the evil forces of the Cold War. As far as you guys as a band, you're blending different musical genres. Is it a leap to try to make any sort of connection there, or was it? I mean, it was just like you guys thought this name was cool, and like, all right, and now here you are, 10 plus years later, like, yeah, we named ourselves after something that seemed pretty funny at the time.
well, it's a
yeah, no,
common it's a real common thing for bands to find themselves, fighting Cold War, like Eastern European ninjas in a faraway land. You have to kind of defend yourself with, or is a pommel horse and some parallel bars. But maybe it's too on the nose as far as like how people experience things.
they say it was the slogan was the thrill the thrill of gymnastics, the kill of
Yes.
karate. And
Yes.
I think if I really had to make a metaphoric stretch, I would say that the gymnastics part of our band is sort of, I think we put a lot of time and effort into our production, our studio records, our songwriting. That stuff tends to be a little more sophisticated and elegant, whatever. And the live show is more, I guess, the kill of karate
Right.
is what we go for. More of it's a high energy, just kind of rock and roll show.
Right on.
Yeah.
I like the
With
way that we're trying
mullets.
to make that connection there.
Yeah, I'm trying. I think that's pretty good. Yeah.
Well, either way, I mean, from the time that you named yourselves that till now, your sound's obviously evolved. You've been incorporating more electronic elements. You've been blurring the line between kind of a traditional rock band and an electronic act. Can you talk a little bit about what's inspired your evolution over the years and how you kind of are balancing these genres while still maintaining your identity as a band?
A lot of it has to do with just like technology and like the influences available to us at that time. When we started, we were more or less like playing like punk rock essentially. Like it was a little more raw just because like that was more what we were listening to as kids. Slowly we all kind of got into fish and more jam oriented stuff. So obviously that started infiltrating it. And then I would say after that, electronic kind of like made its debut into our sets. And then honestly, in the 2010s when we were really starting to hit stride, indie rock was really becoming a thing at the same time that like dubstep and the other EDM genres were. So it all kind of just got thrown in the pot with like what we do. And we still somehow have managed to maintain our status as a guitar driven rock band. So it's yeah, there's not a lot of rules, but there's still like there's a through line if you listen to our material from start to finish.
Sure. And one of the through lines is the songwriting. It's, Evan, you have described your approach as deeply spiritual, kind of viewing the process as opening yourself up to another realm and allowing the songs to come to you naturally. I've heard other musicians and songwriters kind of talk about that, capturing what is essentially already floating out in the universe and being more of someone that instead of writes the songs, captures what's available to them. Can you talk a little bit more about kind of where you believe this other realm comes from and how you're able to tap into it?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like UAPs or I don't know. But yeah, no, I think yeah, it's a good question. I think there's just a sort of like a lot of times when get an idea for a song, it's just when I'm not paying attention to anything at all, maybe like falling asleep or when I first wake up or something like that, and then it's more of an effort to translate it and put it into something that's a finished product. But I don't always know. It's kind of like I think that it could be sort of a subconscious thing as well. It could be, um, you know, I feel like music is as old as the time, as old as the human experience, and so I just think that's also a way of sort of um, like almost like a dream type of thing where you're deeply subconsciously processing the events of your life. And sometimes, it's like my mom likes to ask me like literally what the lyrics are about. And she's not the only other people do this, but it's like, and she'll even be like, "Oh, I know what that one's about. It's like when you had that girlfriend and that," and I'll be like, I don't know about that. Um, and like maybe like years later, I'll think about it. Oh yeah, no, I was going through that thing, but um, there's just like there's certain songs like let's say like "Won't Let You Down," which I we play all the time in the sets, and it's just been a real like it's a strong song that people have identified with and used in their weddings and all this stuff. I mean, that was something that like Aaron had the instrumental for, and yeah, I don't know, like those words just sort of like kind of popped out, and it felt like it suited the emotion of the song. And yeah, it's an interesting thing, and I know it comes from somewhere else, or somewhere deep within, or a collective stuff, or collective consciousness or something. And yeah, I mean, I don't know if I have a definite answer for you, but yeah.
I mean, as much as you're talking about the collective consciousness there, Also, you believe in the healing power of music and songwriting and
Absolutely.
using music to kind of heal yourself and navigate through tough times. You've done that yourself. Can you talk
Yeah,
a little bit about how you that might factor into the approach of your songwriting and the message that you kind of aim to convey with your music in that way?
for sure. Yeah. Well, this is great. I'm glad you're asking these questions. Like, not everybody does this, but like, for me, yeah, if like, if I were to get like deep with it, I think that I really started writing music. Like, my brother died when I was a young kid, and I I think by the time I entered, being like a teenager, I just like I spent a lot of time by myself, and I found the guitar. It was like the only thing I didn't quit doing in my life. Um, and I just kind of took to it, and I started writing music, writing songs, and I think it came naturally to me, and it was really a way of like healing some things that um are just beyond me. We all go through these things in life that are just so huge and so tragic, and big losses and deaths, and just life transitions and things that are really hard to apply textbook, knowledge to, or facts to, and I think that that's part of the magic of music in general. And a good song is there's something about it where it can just sort of synthesize some feelings within you. It is summon up into a quick combination of words and notes, or even just notes themselves, instrumental music, and kind of, I don't know, make sense of the universe for you for a second, so yeah, I think that's the healing things. It's been part of my process, just writing music.
Well, I appreciate that we're able to move from the question that you get asked and answer all the time to into
Yeah.
some of the more personal stuff there. I want to move on to the new album that came out in October, Running in Place. It features your kind of the blend of electronic and rock and pop elements that you guys are known for. It continues the tradition of fusing those genres together, really kind of creating a sound that resonates. You even have some live tracks with that added dynamic element to it. What was the creative vision for this album, and how does this kind of reflect the evolution that we've been talking about as a band?
This one was a tough one. We've been so busy since we came back in about 2020 or 2021 from a hiatus. Like, we've been playing a lot of shows, and then also just balancing our own lives. Packy is a dad, Aaron child, um, with his wife Sarah, and it's just we've been trying to keep up, and with the way the world is, things are just moving faster, and there's a demand for content like left and right. So this one sort of started from uh various, like, I don't know, maybe demos that I had, and we sort of explored different things. We worked with our friend Paul, who is from a band called Savoir Door, for one of the tracks. We were kind of going outside of our normal habits, trying to sort of, like, I don't know, find some new, little nuggets of inspiration and different influences. And we worked with him for a track. We worked with our friend Will Kubley, who's with the band
Pacifier.
Pacifier, but he's got his own music and his own production style. It's really cool. And then we returned. It was kind of a coming home thing, where, as well, we just sort of returned back to working with Jocko at Moore Sound Studio in Syracuse. And in the process of all this, we added a bass player, Cooper. And so we recorded a few tracks in more of a live way. And then also, because we were just touring so much and really feeling pretty jazzed about the way the live show was starting to improve and take shape, we threw 3 live ones on there as well from the beginning of 2024.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
Packy was mentioned your dad. I know you were talking about you've got a toddler in the next room napping. You guys were on hiatus up through and into the COVID pandemic. So a lot of life changes kind of coming at you as you guys are coming back together as a band. Can you talk a little bit about how that has really kind of inspired you specifically musically, becoming a parent, and then maybe as a world, the whole COVID pandemic, the decision to come back and start playing again?
Well, Evan and I left Los Angeles in, the summer of 2020, like about 6 months after COVID really started, and it became apparent that this isn't going away. So I feel like that was a big kind of reprioritizing of like what we wanted to be doing. And like we kind of realized like if we come back, we can kind of like at least like rehearse the band again. And like we were supposed to be putting out the record before this one, Bonfires, in the spring of 2020. It was supposed to come out. Obviously it wasn't going to be practical to be touring, so we decided to make music videos for each one. They're all up on YouTube right now for that whole album, and then we just kind of tried to wait it out. And then so by the time a year went by the summer of 2021 we were trickling out and doing shows. So of course, like I feel like not just us but like the world and the entire like concert going industry kind of reprioritized where they wanted to spend their time. And so it became the kind of thing where like you have to kind of like have a bunch of new stuff to show for it just to get people's attention. Because I think the casual concert goer like, you know, dwindle down a little bit. And then obviously like, the second half of that question is like once you have kids, you sort of like a lot of the things that I realized just weren't even worth my time to like stress about. So, it just like it makes you kind of just like make choices faster and more efficiently when you have a family that you leave to and leave behind every time we go on the road. That's honestly the hardest part about touring is like having the family, but it makes me play with like much more of a purpose. And I know for Aaron, like I can speak for him too, in that like he doesn't have time to like mess around so much anymore. He wants to come in and like really like focus on the music and get it done and just put on the best shows that we possibly can and record the best music that we possibly can.
Talking about being efficient with time, you guys have kind of a DIY approach to handling a lot of your own production and distribution. So I'm sure there's, you get to retain a lot of the creative control, but that takes a lot of time that you could, hand off to others. What are the challenges with that, and how is that kind of approach, or how's that approach shaped your identity as a band to keep continuing the sound that you want to produce?
Well, it's not just us. I would argue that every act is a DIY act now because, like, in addition to being the artist, you have to know how to record yourself. You have to know how to promote yourself, how to market yourself, how to tour on your own, how to be a social media manager on your own. So, like, there's all these other hats that you're required to wear in 2025 that I would argue even wasn't so much of a thing, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. Like, you could like there was a lot more jobs that were like on the road, and now like everybody wears multiple hats. Like even our engineer, he does lights and sound at the same time. Like Evan, plays guitar and sing. We all do synthesizers, and I do synths and drums. Aaron does synths and guitars. Cooper does synths and basses. I mean, everybody sings, and it's a yeah. The version of today's artist has to kind of like be basically a 360 business unto themselves. If you're going to do it that privileged and can afford to hire like all sorts of people to just do this for you. But yeah, we found that like it becomes more authentic when it comes from you when you do it that way too.
Yeah, and one of the things that I think I've realized through all of this too is it really has made we're so busy as soon as we both before and after we're on stage, immediately it's just like the work, it just never ends. So like the moment the whatever a couple hours we're on stage has become to me more like, I don't know, relaxing, to be honest. Like
That's
it's
the
like
easiest part.
okay, cool. Or when we're in the studio or something, I'm just like, thank God. Like phew, like I'll turn my phone off for a minute so we can just be here and focus on the music. It's really given more value to those times of actual creativity. So yeah.
Yeah, those are the times that you're actually able to just be present in the moment and only think about what you're doing, which, in today's day and age of busy hecticness, the more that everybody can find those sorts of times, the better we would all feel about life, I'm sure. But
Mhm.
thank you guys so much for taking some time this morning, being present with me. You guys are going to be traveling to Steamboat here this weekend, playing Schmiggity's on Saturday, the 18th. Don't
Right.
forget to download and open the Steamboat Locals app to enjoy a free well drink before the show. And look forward to seeing you guys this weekend. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Right on. Thank you very much.